Good morning to everyone watching from Washington, and good evening to our viewers in Europe and the Middle East. I am Kirsten Fontenrose, and as Director of the Atlantic Council Scowcroft Middle East Security Initiative, I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming you to today's discussion and introducing you to our honored guest, His Excellency Sayyid Badr Albusaidi, Foreign Minister of Oman. Allow me also to introduce our esteemed moderator, retired Ambassador Mark Sievers, non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, and recently U.S. Ambassador to Oman. We think this conversation is particularly important at a time when both Oman and the United States are entering eras of new leadership. The US-Oman relationship is long-standing and strong, and this is not expected to change under either Sultan Haytham or President Biden. But there are new dynamics facing both the US and Oman, particularly in the realm of foreign policy. From COVID-19 recovery to new US policies on Iran and Yemen, the recent fragile and incomplete resolution of the rift between Oman's neighbors in the Gulf, and the new alliances between Israel and several Arab countries. There is a continually shifting landscape of challenges and opportunities for both of our countries. I don't want to take too much time away from the discussion, but I will briefly introduce our two guests. His Excellency Minister Sayyid Badr Albusaidi has held the position of Foreign Minister for 6 months, having been appointed by Sultan Haytham in August of last year. But Minister Al-Busaidi is no stranger to the Foreign Ministry, serving for 3 decades in positions including Ambassador, Undersecretary, and most recently, Secretary General with the rank of Minister. During his career, Minister Al-Busaidi has had many notable accomplishments, not least of which were guiding Oman into membership of the World Trade Organization, negotiating a US-Omani free trade agreement, and establishing an Office of Political Analysis to provide key policy insights to the ministry's leadership. Minister Al-Busaidi has a particular interest in cultural dialogue, modernization, youth development, human rights, and the advancement of women in public life, all of which I hope we'll have a chance to touch on in today's discussion. In conversation with His Excellency is retired Ambassador Mark Sievers. We're lucky to have Ambassador Sievers as part of the Atlantic Council team, where he is a senior fellow with our Middle East programs, a position he holds from his home in Muscat. Ambassador Sievers retired just over a year ago as a career member of the U.S. Foreign Service with the rank of Minister Counselor, having served as U.S. Ambassador to Oman for 3.5 years. Ambassador Sievers' diplomatic career took him across the Middle East in senior roles in Cairo, Baghdad, Tel Aviv, Algiers, Riyadh, Ankara, and Rabat. He received numerous awards over his career, including 3 State Department Superior Honors Awards and 4 Meritorious Honor Awards. I want to remind everyone to submit your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of your chat screen. Throughout the event, we've reserved some time at the end for questions and answers, so please do keep those coming. If you are watching from one of our live streams on YouTube or on Twitter, we welcome you to tweet your questions to us using the hashtag ACMidEast. And with that, Ambassador Sievers, I pass the microphone to you.
Thank you, Kirsten, and welcome to His Excellency Sayyid Badr. I'm delighted that we have this platform for you this evening, our time, this morning in Washington. I think without taking up any more time, I will pass the microphone to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Christine. Thank you, Mark, for your introductions. I'm grateful for this opportunity to be with you today, and really wish to thank everybody that was involved at the Atlantic Council and in Oman to organize this session. I send you greetings from Oman, the land of peace. I say that because I always believed throughout my life, throughout my career and working life, that one should lead by example. And peace building has to start from within first. And this is exactly what Oman did 50 years ago, and managed to forge not just peace within itself, but with all its neighbors and with the rest of the world, to a position where now, if you look at the map of the world, This is the one country that has no political problem with anybody on that map. So I'm very grateful to speak to you at ease, to share with you some thoughts about peace building and what Oman is trying to do in this arena. It is almost, I think, only, of course, natural to believe that it is always, when we talk about peace building, it is easily said than done. Almost every regional conflict can easily have international dimensions. But this potential for the internationalization of conflict also points to one of the most important tools at our disposal as we seek to limit and contain conflicts and eventually bring them to peaceful resolution. And that tool is dialogue. Dialogue, I can't stress more important than I can in these small words and this brief time I have. Dialogue always, it's difficult, but it does build confidence at the end of the day, and it does build trust. In dialogue, one may discover that parties have an interest in a solution and that multiple perspectives may assist in finding one. But most importantly, it ensures that solutions include everyone. Any resolution to a conflict or an ongoing source of instability needs full buy-in. A solution that depends on excluding one party or another may well prove to be unsustainable. So for this reason, Omani foreign policy has always sought to maintain and encourage dialogue among the widest selection of parties possible. We believe in seeking to inform partnerships based on mutual understanding rather than the kind of alliances that tend towards the formation of blocs or opposing sides. And thinking in historical terms, this is why Oman has chosen not to participate in such boycotts or blockades. It explains our decision many decades ago not to take sides when Egypt made peace with Israel, and it lies behind the Sultanate's reluctance to think about regional tensions in terms of such oversimplified and divisive distinctions as Sunni versus Shia. It is almost important also to support and strengthen institutions that can assist in peace building and enhancing stability. For Oman, this means respecting international law and participating actively in both international organizations and regional ones, the United Nations, for example, or the GCC, indeed, in this part of the world. And we are very pleased, talking about the GCC, to have participated in the most recent summit in Saudi Arabia, at which the common purpose of the organization was reaffirmed, and a period of uncertainty and tension put behind us. In Oman, we always place a very high value on the quality of our relationships with our neighbors. In 2015, as you all know, Oman welcomed the establishment of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. And today, I'm optimistic that all parties may return to this framework. Oman has supported the inclusion of Iran in dialogue on key issues of common regional concerns, and the JCPOA provides a vital step on which to build such dialogue. I think in brief, I just want to sum up our role in the field of peace building. It is simple. Our approach is to talk to everyone, or rather to listen to everyone. We believe that by maintaining open channels of communication, we can build common understanding. We can compromise. We can accommodate a consensus. So in building peace, we're always seeking to understand what it is that people in conflict are really seeking to achieve. We like to see a negotiated outcome as a win for everybody, for everyone, as a process in which there are not going to be losers. I don't really want to be more specific than this, but there is no trick there or a magic formula. There is a commitment on our part and a capacity for listening, for facilitation, should others find our approach constructive and helpful. Thank you. I am happy to take any questions.
Your Excellency, thank you for this overview. And I know from experience how valuable Oman's role can be in many different areas, because precisely your ability to reach out and engage everyone really across the board, and the trust that parties on both sides of conflicts have in Oman's role. I'd like to ask you a bit about the relationship with Israel and the Palestinians. I know that when the Abraham Accords were announced, first with UAE and then with Bahrain, in both cases, Oman declared its welcoming and support for those agreements, but also its ongoing and longstanding commitment to a Palestinian state and to resolving the issues on the basis of a two-state solution. So please, if you could elaborate on Oman's position, which I'm not sure is always very well understood on this point. Thank you.
I'm happy to do so. It's a good question. And I would like to just confirm once again that Oman remains fully committed to peace and to the concept of peace that is based on a two-state solution. This is quite simply a matter of respecting justice and respecting international law. Achieving this two-state solution would, of course, be the single greatest contribution to regional stability we could presently imagine. Oman has made significant efforts in the past, as you know, and continues to do so in support of peace initiatives. We were enthusiastic participants in the Madrid peace process in the early 1990s, and in particular, placed great value on the multilateral phase of that process, which created opportunities for dialogue and diplomatic progress. And we are ready to participate again on a similar or perhaps an enhanced multilateral basis. And as regards Israel, we are content so far with the level of our current relations and dialogue, which involve appropriate channels of communication, while at the same time, we continue by the same token to engage with Palestinians and support efforts for a resumption of direct negotiations sponsored by the United States administration. Each state is best left to act in accordance with its legitimate interests, while contributing at the same time to the common goal of reaching a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace in our region.
Thank you. Perhaps now would be a good time to turn to Oman's relations with the United States, which are very long-standing and very strategic. And I know Your Excellency has been directly involved in developing those relations throughout your career at the Foreign Ministry. But we're now at the beginning of a new administration. And I think we've already seen some indications of adjustments or changes in the Biden administration's approach on some of the key issues, certainly on Yemen. and looking for a way back to the JCPOA framework with Iran. So please, Your Excellency, how do you see the relationship with the United States?
Thank you. Our relationship with the United States, in my view, is one of our most important relationships and friendships. It goes back a long, long time ago. We welcome the clear statement made by President Biden when he said, we can see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. And we can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. Now, I know President Biden clearly had domestic American politics in mind when he said this. His message applies equally to foreign policy and is equally urgent and welcome. For as Secretary of State Tony Blinken said in his remarks introducing the president at the State Department, when he said, foreign policy is domestic policy and domestic policy is foreign policy. And I share this view wholeheartedly. And may I add, by the way, that I was hugely encouraged by the fact that President Biden chose to go in person to the State Department to make this speech. It was a resounding vote of confidence in the department and the many wonderful people who work there and who share our desire for international cooperation. Oman also welcomes some of the very clear and significant actions already taken by the new administration, all of which are concrete signs that, as President Biden said last week, America is back, diplomacy is back. America is back indeed in the Paris Agreement, for example, and ready to bring new dynamism to this urgent international efforts to combat climate change. America is back funding the WHO. America is back in the fight against COVID, participating in the WHO vaccine consortium that seeks to ensure the poorest countries get the vaccine. And America is back as a force for peace, as three particular decisions decide to bring about an end to the armed conflict in Yemen, clearly demonstrate by helping stem the flow of weapons into the conflict, by removing the exclusionary designation of Ansar Allah as a terrorist organization, and by appointing Tim Lindeking as special envoy. President Biden and his foreign policy team have given us genuine hope that the end to the conflict in Yemen may now be in sight. And Oman considers itself a partner, a reliable partner indeed of the United States in its efforts to encourage a peaceful settlement in Yemen, and of course in any other initiatives designed to promote peace and stability in the Middle East. And as I have said on other occasions, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action was the single most significant achievement for US policy in our region for many years, probably since the Madrid process. And its restoration, I think, will be a very fitting sequel to that achievement, as well as a great promise of what may yet to come. And finally, if I may, I would like to take up the invitation offered by Secretary Blinken's observation about foreign and domestic policy being one and the same, and say a few things that I hope you will find worth thinking about in terms of Oman's domestic policy. But I will leave maybe to you to ask me any specifics on that. But if I may just say that as my colleague, all in this ministry, in the foreign ministry, work towards multilateral and inclusive approaches to our own work, we are not doing so in isolation. but rather in coordination with an approach to domestic policy that also emphasizes inclusion. Together, Omanis are tackling the enormous task of economic reform and diversification, in particular with the aim of creating a better future for our young people and future generations. You may be not aware that His Majesty Sultan Haytham recently issued a revised basic law in which a commitment to economic development, to the provision of social protection for all, to the right to work, and to the sharing of responsibility for national well-being are all affirmed and strengthened. And this emphasis on social cohesion is supported by a further emphasis on human rights, a clearer separation of powers, and new processes for Oman's hereditary monarchy. And I can talk endlessly on the ambitions of His Majesty and the Vision 2040, but I would stop here to allow you maybe to ask any further questions as far as Oman's domestic policy, or indeed further questions on the Omani-US relationship.
Yes, Your Excellency, thank you. We will, in a few minutes, go to a couple of questions from the audience. But while we're talking about Oman's economic policy, domestic policy, and also the relationship with the United States, I would like to ask about your views on what we can do to increase the level of economic and commercial engagement between our countries using the more than 10 years free trade agreement that we have in place, which you were directly involved in achieving, and what as a tool, how should we approach this?
Yes, as I said briefly, there is a Vision 2040. There is a set of reforms that Oman is engaged with to balance the economy. And we are going to push further aggressively on diversifying the economy. And I think in this diversification, there could be a huge role for our US friends and partners to play in terms of attracting more investments and technology and support further the free trade agreement that exists between the two countries. I think there isn't much known about this free trade agreement and the potential it promises. Perhaps we can jointly consider a campaign of promoting that agreement and promoting 2040 to the private sector and to US institutions, and see where we can really capitalize on the infrastructure that Oman provides, on the strategic location that Oman enjoys, and its connectivity, logistically speaking, with all the huge markets around us, stretching from East Africa to the Indian subcontinent, to the Gulf and elsewhere. It's quite a radius of huge market, which I think can be tapped into using the gateway of Oman and the GCC.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and I fully agree that Oman's security and safety and welcoming of foreign investment, along with its strategic location and the benefits that accrue from the free trade agreement, provide us many opportunities to contribute to the development of this wonderful country. And also for the mutual prosperity of those both of our economies. So I think that's a very, very important goal for both of us, and I'm sure that the new administration, the Biden administration, will be looking for opportunities to see what we can do to expand our trade and investment relationship. If you don't mind, can we turn to a couple of questions from the audience at the end, or did you have other last remarks before that you'd like to make?
Absolutely, I would welcome any questions.
Thank you. So we have a question about the reference to the possible return to JCPOA, and specifically if there is a role that Oman could play in contributing to reopening the dialogue between the United States and Iran.
Of course, we are always ready to assist in any way possible. We enjoy a very good relationship with Iran, and we enjoy, obviously, a very good relationship with the United States. But that is said, I believe the channels are open directly between the foreign policy team in Washington and Iran, and I see no reason why those channels can't be reactivated. Some of members of that team were involved indeed in the JCPOA negotiations in the first place. So really, I would very much, our offices are ready to assist in any way, but I think there is already the availability of direct contacts should both countries choose to take that route.
Thank you very much. I think I have another question here. I have a question about COVID-19 and its potential long-term impact on the global economy, and how has that affected Oman's plans for diversification as laid out in Vision 2040?
Yes, that's a tough question, a good question.
I know.
For which I don't think there is a clear answer, because we are all in this together globally. But I personally believe that, as it's often said, with every challenge, there will always be new opportunities in new areas to cultivate. We are faced with a disruptive virus, but at the same time, there will be probably the emergence of new trends and new global demands for to explore and opportunities. And here, I think international collaboration is key and crucial to join hands in exploring these opportunities. And the challenge really is, how do we convert these opportunities into new jobs, new types of jobs, new types of industries, new types of dealing with the new normal of our life, and how we can get about our lives in the new normal way. I think we're already seeing various trends developing in that direction: technology, innovation. So yes, it is disruptive. Livelihood has been disruptive. Businesses have closed down, but new businesses have emerged in return. So I think it is a matter of time before the whole world economy turns that corner and starts developing the new economy of the future.
Thank you, and I'll combine two questions just to bring this to a close, because I know Your Excellency has another engagement that you have to go on to. But we know that the last GCC summit ended the Qatar Rift officially, but some of the ramifications of that disruption, I think, are still with us. And looking ahead, how do you see the GCC putting itself back on the track of close cooperation and trust between its members, and the future of the organization, including Oman's role in it? Thank you.
I am optimistic. I mean, it is natural to expect this. I mean, in the aftermath of the summit, there were some tracks progressed very quickly, some tracks took their time, but certainly I think there is an overwhelming commitment to put that rift behind us and move forward to a new chapter in GCC relations and cooperation. So I am actually optimistic that this will be the name of the new period of GCC working relationship. And I am very much optimistic and looking forward really to our next meeting as foreign ministers, hopefully in March, to take that work forward.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time and your insights and your optimism, which I think all of us need in this difficult period of world history. So thank you so much and greatly appreciate your contributions and your role as Foreign Minister. Congratulations on that as well, if I may.
Thank you very much. Really, I'm delighted, and thanks to the Council for organizing this once again. Thank you very much. I look forward to welcome some of you in Oman when conditions allow, inshallah, in the near future. Goodbye.
We all hope for that. Thank you, sir. Kirsten?
Thank you so much, Mark. And thank you, Your Excellency, for joining us and for sharing with us your vision for how Oman is going to look out at least the next 4 years in US terms, and of course beyond. And we are grateful that America is one of the many nations counted by Oman as a friend, as you are a friend to all. So thank you again for joining us.